G2A, phone operating procedures. USB/LSB conventions, breaking into a contact, transmitter setup for voice. Operation, answering DX stations G2A01A. Which mode is most commonly used for voice communications on frequencies of 14 MHz or higher? A. Upper sideband. B. Lower sideband. C. Suppressed sideband. D. Double sideband. G2A02B. Which mode is most commonly used for voice communications on the 160-, 75-, and 40-meter bands? A. Upper sideband. B. Lower sideband. C. Suppressed sideband. D. Double sideband. G2A03A. Which mode is most commonly used for SSB voice communications in the VHF and UHF bands? A. Upper sideband. B. Lower sideband. C. Suppressed sideband. D. Double sideband. G2A04A. Which mode is most commonly used for voice communications on the 17 and 12-meter bands? A. Upper sideband. B. Lower sideband. C. Suppressed sideband. D. Double sideband. G2A05C. Which mode of voice communication is most commonly used on the HF amateur bands? A. Frequency modulation. B. Double sideband. C. Single sideband. D. Single phase modulation. G2A06D. Which of the following is an advantage of using single sideband as compared to other analog voice modes on the HF amateur bands? A. Very high-fidelity voice modulation. B. Less subject to interference from atmospheric static crashes. C. Ease of tuning on receive and immunity to impulse noise. D. Less bandwidth used and greater power efficiency. G2A07B. Which of the following statements is true of single sideband SSB? A. Only one sideband and the carrier are transmitted. The other sideband is suppressed. B. Only one sideband is transmitted. The other sideband and carrier are suppressed. C. SSB is the only voice mode authorized on the 20-, 15-, and 10-meter amateur bands. D. SSB is the only voice mode authorized on the 160-, 75-, and 40-meter amateur bands. G2A08B. What is the recommended way to break into a phone contact? A. Say QRZ several times, followed by your call sign. B. Say your call sign once. C. Say breaker breaker. D. Say CQ, followed by the call sign of either station. G2A090. Why do most amateur stations use lower sideband on the 160-, 75-, and 40-meter bands? A. Lower sideband is more efficient than upper sideband at these frequencies. B. Lower sideband is the only sideband legal on these frequency bands. C. Because it is fully compatible with an AM detector. D. It is commonly accepted amateur practice. G2A10B. Which of the following statements is true of Vox operation versus PTT operation? A. The received signal is more natural sounding. B. It allows hands-free operation. C. It occupies less bandwidth. D. It provides more power output. G2A11C. Generally, who should respond to a station in the contiguous 48 states calling CQDX? A. Any caller is welcome to respond. B. Only stations in Germany. C. Any stations outside the lower 48 states. D. Only contest stations. G2A12B. What control is typically adjusted for proper ALC setting on a single sideband transceiver? A. RF clipping level. B. Transmit audio or microphone gain. C. Antenna inductance or capacitance. D. Attenuator level.